All right, here we go. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm Kevin Paraiso, and I want to welcome our co-host, Rick Cole, retired fire chief of the Middlebury Fire Department. Welcome to all of you for the Middlebury Memorial Day Parade 2024. I want to also thank MCTV for providing the coverage of this and their staff for coming in on a holiday so that we send certainly a welcome to all of the people watching on television. Before we do get started, though, I am going to do a disclaimer that Rick and I will do the best we can to try to tell you who's who on what, who's first, who's second. But the disclaimer is if we goof up, forgive us. And we do the best we can because we're watching on a monitor. And this year, it could prove to be interesting. We just barely got a listing, and they never have given us a complete listing that is always 100% on target.
Right.
So anyways, that's our disclaimer. But certainly we welcome everybody, even though the weather looks a little odd. We need to be able to do the best we can. And I thought historically, it's always, I think, important that we remember what this holiday is. It was originally called Decoration Day. It's a day of remembrance for those who have died in our nation's service. The latest statistic is, all told, we are well over 1 million veterans now that have lost their life in defense. There's many stories to the actual beginning of this holiday, and there's well over 24 cities, towns laying claim to being the birthplace. There's evidence that organized women's groups in the South were decorating graves before the end of the Civil War. It's most evident, believe it or not, in a hymn that was written by Nellie Sweet, published in 1867, entitled "Kneel Where Our Loves Are Sleeping." And it carries a dedication, I think, which was the catalyst for us understanding when this holiday began. And the dedication was to the ladies of the South who are decorating the graves of the Confederate dead. And this original hymn can still be found at Duke University in their historic American Music Library. We decorate the graves of the war dead with flowers, parades, speeches, and honor them. But it was originally proclaimed on May 5th, 1868 by Major General John A. Logan, who was the national commander of the Grand Army of the Republic. 30th of May, 1868 is designated for strewing flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in the defense of their country, and whose bodies now lie in every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. First formal celebration was held May 30th, 1868 at Arlington National Cemetery. And there were well over 5,000 people in attendance, and General James Garfield and General and Mrs. Ulysses S. Grant were there. In this country, the first state to officially recognize the holiday was New York State, 1873. By 1890, almost all of the northern states recognized the day. Congress passed the National Holiday Act in 1971, and the President of the United States, Lyndon Baines Johnson, signed that into effect. And we know that throughout the country, people celebrate this holiday in many different capacities, but we are all unified in one thing. We are honoring those who have given their lives in defense of this country, and defense of other countries for that matter. I think today we're going to be seeing a lot of equipment coming from the different departments.
Yes.
And we'll try to give you a little bit of history of some of those as we go through. But just to give you a precursor, Rick and I have done some homework, which is difficult to do at our age.
Yes.
But we do much better. But for example, Middlebury Fire Department, which is also known as the Battelle Hose Company, David Shaw is their present chief. It's a community-based fire department comprised of over 40 members who volunteer their time. And Traditionally, you'll see a lot of their trucks in it this year. And that department usually will replace trucks about every 25 years. And the latest truck to be replaced is a utility truck, and it's going to be delivered in 2026. What most people don't realize is these now have to be over sometimes a 2-year block.
Yes.
Same thing with the ambulance. Kate Rothwell is the executive director. They have about 50 in the workforce. And MREMS, which gives 24-hour, 7-day-a-week services, and they cover 10 towns. And for the record, I do want to, again, tell our listeners, this is not a municipal-run organization. It's not paid for by the tax dollars, but paid for by contributions and insurance. And so it's different than the fire department and police department in the sense that it is privately funded. They recently are going to be purchasing another new ambulance, and the price tag fully equipped is well over $500,000. And Rick, while you were chief, you know what you were spending for equipment, and it's mind-boggling.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. And the prices in the last 25 years have more than doubled, some of them tripled.
Yes, yeah. The police department, who has a new chief, Jason Covey. It's a full-time police department, again, 24/7. They have a roster of potentially 14 officers. Presently, they have 12. Starting soon will be our newest officer. It's a female that will be going through the academy, and upon completion of the prescribed program, will be a member of the force. And according to Chief Covey, recruitment is becoming more and more difficult all the time. And that some applicants just simply don't make it. Some people don't realize what it entails. But definitely, it is needed. And this newest officer to come aboard is going to be the first female officer since 2009. Now, Rick, I know that the fire department also is dependent upon some female members of the fire department.
Yes.
We know the ambulance certainly is, as far as EMTs and paramedics and all of that. And, you know, I think it's a day and age where service, yes, today we celebrate the service of so many who have given their lives in defense of our country and respect of our country, but I think it's also imperative to talk about those people that give of the service of community, you know, fire department, ambulance, police, sheriff, all of this, because that's what makes your community. And as a result, that's how communities survive.
Yes, that's for sure. And an interesting thing is I talked to an elderly lady here about a week ago, and she was a veteran. And she asked me if I'd been a veteran, and I said, no, but my son is. And the lady that was there with us said, well, yes, but he was a fire chief. And she said, then you're a veteran. She says, anybody that serves their community and serves the people, as far as she's concerned, is considered a veteran.
Oh,
I thought that was kind of a nice way of looking at things.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, let's face it, Rick, you and I have seen the fact of all of these communities, you know, are finding it more and more difficult to have volunteers staffing them. I know, for example, the VFW, the Legion, are all finding less and less young vets coming home wanting to join. And I think it's indicative that all organizations are suffering from somewhat the lack of membership.
Yes.
And I think, you know, what we need to remember is something that you and I grew up with, and I think, I hate to say our generation grew up with, but that is the aspect of service. And you're right, it's service to country, but it's also service to community. And I think it's imperative that we remember that.
I think also, Kevin, before you move on there, is I know the fire department and I believe the rescue squad also have students from Middlebury College that are members.
Yes.
And what a wonderful group I know that we as a fire department get from students from Middlebury College. Very dedicated, very interested, and do a wonderful job for the town.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Rick. And I know with the ambulance, serving on the board of all three of these, I get an inside track, which is great. But I know that several of the Middlebury College students that have been part of the ambulance association have gone on now to become doctors. And I know that you've seen several members of the fire department go on and either rejoin other departments, or in one case, moved back here and joined your department.
We've actually had two that have come back like 10 years, 15 years later and become part of our department. Yes.
Sure. Well, that's when, I guess in old Vermont English, we done good.
Yes.
Anyways, later after the parade, there will be the presentation up by the monument, with certainly the speeches. But one of the things that they have done in the past, and not knowing this year if they're going to do it, but I'm going to make a presumption that they do it, is the playing of taps. And I think taps, it's important that we remember that there is a purpose behind it versus just a bugle call. There's 24 notes in that, and it's known as taps. And it was a French bugle call originally called a tattoo. And it notified soldiers to cease an evening's activities and return to their barracks. The revision of what we now know as taps was made during America's Civil War by the Union General Daniel Butterfield. And today, his order of playing this at all graves of soldiers upon burial has become synonymous with the fact of a very somber time. And it's now played at burials, memorial services, and basically its translation is lights out. And it was always imperative that when you would hear taps being played, you stopped and you take your hat off, or you would salute, or you put your hand over your heart. And some of these customs need to come back, because unfortunately, I think for many young people, they don't know some of the history of why we do what we do.
Right.
Having seen or participated in a number of military funerals over the course of my career, there's some very, very poignant parts to that as to why, taps is just one of them that we play. I'm going to presume that probably at the monument, they will also recite the In Flanders Field, and hopefully they will tell people about this, as well as we'll have, at least two bands playing. And from our vantage point of sitting here in the municipal building, we've also seen that it appears that the Shriners are going to participate this year with their little vehicles. And while we're waiting, I can sort of tell you that upon some research, the Middlebury Union High School Band, which Rob DeGruen is their director, they're going to be performing Yay, composed by Usher. And their band is comprised of 44 students, grades 9 through 12. The Mums Band is directed by Connor Young. They're going to be performing Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. And that band is made up of 70 kids from grades 7 and 8. And I think it's great, Rick, that we can, have these bands participate.
Yeah.
And
I think we're starting to see the parade start to merge up here
at the lights.
at the South Street. Yep, at South Street.
Yep.
Approaching the thing, and it looks to me like maybe the sprinkles have started also.
I think so. I see some people have put up umbrellas, but there again, others are standing in the streets. And again, from our vantage point, just turning around and looking, Kennett Park has a fairly good number of people in it. The Circle has some. We're hoping up around by the Congregational Church and Monument. So, I think it's great to see people coming out for the purpose of this.
Yes,
I really
oh,
do.
yes, it is.
I'm very appreciative for all veterans of all walks of life. And, as well as I'm certain for today, there's still some Middlebury College graduates from yesterday that are probably trying to escape Middlebury, and they're gonna have to wait for the parade to get over before they can escape from this end of town, but that's all right.
They'll make it.
They'll make it. And, so, one of the differences this year, and I was told this, is that MCTV is not going to be having their float or their barge or whatever you call it.
Okay, yep.
That this year, but I'm certainly appreciative to MCTV for its coverage. The cameras are all set up, and you and I have the best vantage point of anybody.
Oh, great point, great place.
And you're right, it appears that this is the first of the police cruisers that are coming through, and I can tell you that Officer Chris Mason is going to be driving the lead car, and supposedly there's going to be a young person who begged to ride with him, and permission was granted that he could do the ride along. And because I know over the years, there's a lot of young people that have asked if they could ride along with any of these. So that's this year's, gift to some lucky young person. And then at the very end, bringing up the rear, is going to be the new police chief driving the police department's mobile command unit. So as they first make around the corner, we start to see the Middlebury Cruiser. So we'll presume it's Chris Mason, and then followed by the Addison County Sheriff's Department, which again has become a very, very active policing for many of the communities of Addison County. Followed by one of our ambulances from Middlebury Regional EMS, or better known, the acronym MREMS, or for those of us that go back in history, MVAA.
Yes.
Or for those of us that are old enough, like you and I, that remember when it came out of the rear end of a used hearse.
Yes.
But anyways, this history has proven all this. And as we can see, yes, it is Chris Mason and with a young person riding. And so I think that's tremendous. And they're waving to people as they go by.
You got a sheriff, well, it could be a sheriff though.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the sheriff, and everyone looks happy with that. And MREMS.
And we've got, I believe, the VFW
And the honor guard.
or the Legion.
This
The
is
Legion.
This is the Legion.
This is the Legion.
This is the Legion. And the honor guard, which leads very, very well in the sense of you realize their numbers are dwindling.
Yes.
And the empty chair, which is symbolic of the POW-MIA members, we see that flag fly quite often. And but again, this is all sponsored by American Legion Post in Middlebury, and the symbol of the empty chair is that they are not forgotten. And what's interesting is, as this comes around from post number 27, of course, for the little kids all along the parade route, they love it.
Oh, yes, they do.
They're getting all this candy. Now, heaven only knows what those kids are like later in the day. That's all right.
Sugar highs all day today.
But that's okay. It's part of the whole thing. And the Grand Marshal, And the Grand Marshal is Lori Patton. Lori has been Grand Marshal several other times, but, will be leaving this community to take a new position. And she's driven by John Emerson. And John is a retired professor, loves sports cars. And the first of our bands, the Middlebury Union High School Band. And again, they are playing Yay by Usher, directed by Rob DeBruin. Thank them for their participation. They have a busy day today because they go from here to Virgins, and by the time that they finish, I am certain that they're going to be tired of playing the same thing over and over. But anyway, I shouldn't complain as a musician. I do that all the time.
There you go, yes.
Middlebury Lions Club. Again, a civic organization, Lions International, and a car that states why the Lions Club is so important. We serve. I don't know who's in the car, I can't tell. It's a fuzzy hat of some sort.
No.
And
There's Greg.
and longtime member of the Middlebury Lions Club, as well as several of their members. They're throwing out something. Beads, I guess.
Beads.
And, so that part of it is impressive.
Some of them are walking.
And then the Yellow House, which we've all been reading about up on High Street, the service that they provide is such an impressive service for so many. And there is the new little train that they built, and their staff and some of their members. And again, Rick, it summarizes the word service to others.
They do a wonderful service for the community and for the people they serve.
Absolutely. Followed by another service organization, Rotary International. Again, a group of individuals. Kevin Newton is in the truck, and you'll see along the float that they have some of the different parts of that organization and how they serve and all the different facets of what they do throughout their year.
And these service organizations, the Rotary and the Lions, et cetera, all are no different than your fire departments and your rescue squads. They are lacking for membership.
Members.
They need members.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's really slacked off in these times. So.
And the bottom line, and I hate to use the MCTV's time for a solicitation, but if many of these organizations are going to survive, they need members.
Yes, they do.
And they need young members. You and I are still active, and you're still active at the fire department. I'm active with 3 of the organizations, but let's face it, we're not going to be around forever. Well, at least
Time moves on.
At least I might try, but I don't think it's.
Well, yeah, that's kind of my goal too.
Sure. Next is the Open Door Clinic. Open Door Clinic certainly is for access of health care for actually this entire community and beyond. They have mobile units, and which has been great to see. My understanding is that they are busy beyond the point of busy again at all times. And I think we all know why. Let's face it, healthcare in this community, can we use more doctors? Absolutely.
It's like the Weybridge Fire Department.
This is the Weybridge. I don't know who their chief is now.
It's there, but I lost it.
But again, it's great to have them participate. forgive us that we can't think of some of these things, but it's a daily occurrence for us now. You know, but again, we're very fortunate that they are a neighboring community that if we need help, they're there. And one of our veterans driving a little race car. And the Mountain View 4-H. Some of their kids throwing stuff to other kids. 4-H, a great organization, has been around for many, many, many years.
Many years, yes.
And again, a service organization for kids. You know, they learn, you know, it's a vitally important part of the community, and it's nice to see so many young people. Here's the Middlebury Union Middle School. Again, Connor Young. And just to remind all of you that they are performing Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. So, '70 members.
Wow.
And that's their director in back. Wonderful organization, Rick.
And that's great because you figure that's only 2 classes.
Exactly.
It's really great.
Exactly. So it's wonderful to see that. And then something that we were missing last year, but are back again this year, and that's the Cairo Temple mini monsters or whatever they call them. And, you know, I think it's spectacular to see them part of this organization and part of this parade every year. Although, you know, Rick, I'm still jealous. I've always wanted to drive one of those.
I know, me too. And they look like a lot of fun.
You know, because when they're driving, they also look as if they are enjoying it. And
That man there has been doing that for many, many years.
Time, and that's part of the Rutland Division of the Northern Clowns.
Yes.
And to think of what they do to raise money, you know, in their different organizations. Scottish bagpipes. Wonderful sound. It's the Catamount Pipe Band, and you can see they enjoy it as much as we enjoy them. Smile on the drummer's face gives it away.
Yes.
And there's Middlebury Community Television. This is their representation this year. And so again, we send out a word of appreciation. Rick, I'll let you describe this one. This is one of the fire trucks.
Yeah, this is Middlebury Fire Department, Engine 1. This is their latest engine that was purchased, I don't know the law, probably about 3 years ago, I would say. And behind it is the old horse-drawn steam pumper that from the 1800s, 1840, I believe, or 1880.
Says on.
And that has always been original to Middlebury. So, Middlebury Fire Department members, all wearing their turnout gears today. And just a little piece of information on that is that turnout gear weighs between 45 and 75 pounds that each one of them is wearing. Then on a fire scene, you add an air pack, which weighs 20 to 30 pounds. So just think about before you even start working, the effort you've got to carry around with you. The ladder truck, which is what?
Let's see, 5 years old now?
5 to 8 years ago, I would say.
Yep.
Yes.
And whose price tag to replace it now is well over $1 million.
Oh, well, today, yes.
Well over.
Goes up every year. But they've always gotten good life out of the trucks.
Yes.
And still be able to maintain good service for the town.
And community.
And community, yes.
Middlebury Festival on the Green. This year it says July 7th through 13th on the Village Green. And they have a lot of different performances. Then Addison County Democrats bring up the next group of people. But I do, as we're talking about the fire departments and police and all this, one of the things, Rick, that we as a community are thankful for and need to be thankful is the mutual aid that we have among all of our local communities that are all willing to pitch in and help each other.
And especially today with the difficult and getting new members and
Sure.
younger people in. Yes, it's very, very important.
And also with the difficulty of getting people out during the day
Yes,
if they're working. I know all of the organizations, the ambulance maybe is an exception to that, because they are now paid,
yes.
and versus the fire department is volunteer. Now, this is the Shoreham First Response. That is what they go to people's homes with when they're called, as well as fires. And again, volunteers. And for many of these departments, you can see by just the numbers of people that are with these trucks, that their membership is declining.
Oh, yes. Yes, and with these smaller towns, your Shorehams and Cornwalls, et cetera, the cost of this equipment today
Oh,
is really prohibitive, especially when you consider the number of calls that they respond to.
absolutely.
It's making it tougher and tougher for them.
Sure. Another 4-H group, loaded in the back, throwing stuff out at people.
We have the Salisbury Fire Department.
And again, same case scenario.
Absolutely.
They're all looking for members, and I certainly am going to keep plugging for people to give some consideration to joining these departments. Another one of the Cairo
Okay, yes.
little cars, or golf cart or something.
Look at that, the sunshine is coming out.
Yes.
Wow, that was perfect timing.
Yep. Now, as this next group is coming around, Rick, I think the reality is if some of these departments have to start changing and closing down, we are all going to suffer the consequences of that.
Yes, it's getting harder and harder for them. And
Now, this one that's going past us right now, Rick, it's a key. I wonder what it opens. Whoops,
I don't
the
know.
key just fell down. But up the key.
Oh, Key Bank,
Key bank.
Key Bank, there we go.
And they got a round of applause.
Yes.
Bouncing back. So there we
Well,
go.
look at those shoes he's wearing,
I know
or she's wearing, whichever.
And they have a little float behind it.
Oh,
Happy
yes.
Memorial Day, and we remember. We remember and honor. And then one of our modern day pieces of fire apparatus from Bridport.
Report Fire Department.
Now that's their antique truck. I don't know what year that is, Rick. I'm guessing early 50s.
Yes, I would say more 40s, but
Okay.
I may be wrong.
Followed by one of theirs. And I'm thinking to myself, that gives people a perfect opportunity to compare one to another.
Yes.
To see how all of these services have changed. And then the Peat Farm greenhouses sent in a beautiful float, and they say creamies, but they didn't offer us any.
No,
This isn't quite
no,
fair.
no.
And
And the Cornwall Fire Department.
And again, I apologize, I thought we were going to be given the names of some of these different, like chiefs and all that, but forgive us. But certainly we honor all of them and we thank them for their participation, but moreover, we thank them for their service.
Yes.
Again, a group of volunteers that come to everybody's aid when they're needed. And then let's thank the Middlebury Amateur Hockey Association on their Zamboni.
They're putting a little ice down on the road there, see?
Oh, good, yes. I think that'll make it interesting later, all right?
Yes.
I think to myself, you and I have lived to see this organization come up from its very beginnings.
Oh,
And
yes.
now it's one of the most popular organizations for young people of any of the young people's organizations that
Yes.
this entire community has. So thanks to all of them and thanks to their participation. Really, a lot of different ages, from little ones.
Oh, yes. They start up very young. now.
Yeah. I mean, with some of the little tiny ones, the hockey sticks are almost as tall as they are.
Yes.
Someone bringing up the rear with throwing some more candy or whatever they're giving out, something. And it wouldn't be Vermont if we didn't have some tractors.
No, gotta have some tractors.
This is the New Holland tractor and National Bank of Middlebury. I'm thinking to myself, those tractors now are all equipped with air conditioning, GPS, power steering.
Oh, 9 yards, yes.
Someone was telling me the other day that you can run some of these remotely. And I'm thinking, okay,
Yes, I understand that they can start in a corner of a field, set their computers, and the guy can sit there and read a book while it
does its
does its work. Yes.
Ilsley Library, their group, marching by, and most of the placards that are going by are also saying thank you. And I would suspect that is probably from the bond vote that was affirmative, that they will be putting on the addition.
Very much needed.
And then Middlebury Little League, all of those kids throwing things. I don't know if those are pitchers or what they are,
I don't know
but some of their aims are pretty good,
Wow, that one there is bright.
So look at the number of those kids
A lot of kids there.
participating. So I think that's wonderful. Again, it gives all of those young people a great accomplishment to participate. Local bridge school. Bridge school on the corner of Exchange Street.
And as I'm sure you do, remember when that started?
Yes, absolutely. Well, you and I remember when that was an active farm.
Yes, we do.
And this last year, they had to take down the old silo because
Yes.
it was collapsing. And which I always thought was somewhat distinctive. And then we have a veteran driving again, looks to be a Ford of some sort.
Oh, yes.
But what a car.
Oh,
Wow. Look at
always
that.
was my dream, but never did. Never happened.
Different lifestyle, a different world. It took so much longer to travel.
Yes.
And then John Deere is well represented with some of their equipment. United Ag and Turf on Route 7. You can drive the tractor and throw stuff out at the same time. That's pretty good. And then it's followed by the kind of tractor that I remember.
That,
You remember.
that we remember,
Yeah,
yes.
1951 John Deere.
Yes,
There we go. With the angled wheels in the front. Okay.
yes.
Followed by oxen, well trained.
Wow, that's a pretty nice,
I guess so.
nice pair of oxen.
I guess they are. And then this is the police chief, Jason Covey. That's his son Bailey. who's all decked out in his own little uniform. And that is the Mobile Command Post Unit. And
His wife with him, I
that's
think
his
so.
wife, Jody, yes. And then another ambulance of our fleet. And so you'll see that it's marked A2 or A1 or A3. And, you know, the amount of mileage and things that get wrapped up on this.
Yes,
And around the corner is just now turning the heavy rescue, which certainly doesn't get used as much, but is there. And Rick, as you know, the fire department just was able to acquire a lot of the same tools.
yes, to be able to assist.
Yes.
Because they needed extra help.
Absolutely. So we thank all of them for their service. And then after that, Rick, it looks as if it's a hearse.
Yes, it
And
is.
back to the time period where the horse and buggy, but a hearse carrying a flag draped casket. And we thank them. I think that's a very apropos way of ending the parade this year.
I believe that is, and I can't remember his name now, from the Haven
Yes,
anyway.
yes.
That is
Yes.
driving that. Yeah. That owns it, I'm sure.
Well, Rick, we want to thank all the participants this year. Again, we thank
This isn't
Nancy.
one of the floats?
I don't think so, no. I'm sure that I don't want to know what some of these drivers are thinking, getting stuck behind this.
Oh, I'm sure they
That's all
are,
right.
yeah.
But, you know,
Well,
we're thankful
that's all
for
right.
them. They keep the country rolling for food and fuel and you
Yep.
name it.
They know it.
But we do want to thank everybody this year. We'll move up to the monument, or they will.
They will.
You and I won't.
Yep.
But anyways, we wish everyone a lovely Memorial Day.
Have a good day.
Certainly keep Memorial Day honoring those who have given their service in so many capacities. Again, Rick, look forward. Hopefully we'll be here next year doing the same thing.
All right, well,
Very
thank
good.
you very
Thank
much,
you.
and thank you for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.